So, I don't know where to start with this. If you're a doctor and you're watching this, you need to comment, you need to share, you need to... Let's all raise awareness to this issue. Now, this is completely unplanned. It's probably going to be a bit of a rant with some cuss words that I only think. Now, today this news article has been coming through my Facebook news feed, and it's about this doctor in Evergreen Park who killed himself. Do you know the weirdest thing about that? The fact that the only thing people are talking about is how the doctor had a large population of patients who were unvaccinated. And the bad thing is that this post is being shared by fellow doctors. I don't know whether to laugh, cry, or be mad. A human being just killed himself, and all you can talk about is his unvaccinated patients. This shows us the regard that people have for doctors in the US. Oh God. There was a point in my life where I thought to myself, I'll be better off dead. Yes. This is not something I've ever shared publicly before. I've shared with my clients and, people I'm mentoring and whatnot. But I reached that point where I was like, you know what? This world will be better off without me, and everybody will be better off without me. If you ever get to that point in your life, and if you've ever got to that point, this article about this doctor who killed himself, but it's all about his unvaccinated patients. Now, let me tell you something. I'm not saying that the fact that people's patients are not vaccinated is not serious. But let me tell you something else. Somebody killing themselves is more serious than how many unvaccinated patients they had. Last year, I wrote a book called Physician Heal Yourself. And it was 10 remedies for a balanced life, a complete life makeover for doctors. And guess what? So we did pretty well with the book. We went on TV, got lots of press, etc., etc. But do you know what happened after a while? The person I hired to, pitch me to people said, well, he told me bluntly, nobody wants to hear about physician burnouts. Apparently not. There was this doctor a few years back. It was an older gentleman. And when I say older, hey, I'm an older person too. I'm in my 40s. So this gentleman was in his 50s and he was about to be thrown out of the country for something to do with his residency. Either being fired from residency and whatnot, probably thrown out of the country. This man killed himself. When they spoke to his neighbors, do you know what they were talking about? How inconvenient it was for them because there was a police line in front of the doctor's house. Not one person had any compassion for this doctor. Let me tell you something, doctors. Oh my God. Unless you do these two things, the suicide epidemic is going to pick us all off one by one. One, let me tell you something. William Osler, the great Osler, said the young doctor should look about for something that's going to take him away from potions, pills, and patients. Let me tell you something, doctor. You have to have something else in your life that's taking you away from potions, pills, and patients. You can't do potions, pills, and patients all day long. And that may have worked for the doctors in the baby boomer generation. That may have worked for the doctors who are in their 60s and 70s. But let me tell you something. With the loss of autonomy now, more and more younger physicians are getting burnt out faster. What are you going to do about it? Find something that takes you away from potions, pills, and patients. And let me tell you something. When I was facing my own thoughts of suicide and thoughts that I would rather not be here, the one thing that helped me was I wrote my way out of that problem. I've always liked to write, but I had abandoned it for years. And the book I wrote actually, from my own pain, became a bestseller, but whatever. Number two, the second thing you need to do is rescue yourself from burnout. Because let me tell you something, doctor, ain't nobody coming to rescue you. You have to save yourself. Saving the lives of others should not cost your own. Because let me tell you something, if the suicide epidemic, and yes, it's an epidemic because every year in the US, 400 doctors kill themselves. It's an epidemic. That is one every day, one doctor is boom. putting a gun to their head, injecting themselves with medicine. When you hear these stories about young doctors who die and they don't put the cause of death, let me tell you something, it's usually suicide. I've never had a patient kill themselves, but I've had colleagues who have. And when I saw this article about this poor man who killed himself, and all people are posting is about the number of unvaccinated patients that he has, something in me just went off. I'm like, this poor man killed himself. Nobody is asking what's happening to his family. Why did he kill himself? What made him reach that desperate point? Nobody's asking that question. Everybody's just talking about his unvaccinated patients. And yes, I feel ashamed because I'm crying right now. And I don't know the man. I didn't know Kobe Bryant either. But when he died, I cried too. And doctors, we need to do a better job of looking out for ourselves. That's why I stand for doctors. We need to do a better job of looking out for each other. If your colleagues have problems, don't broadcast it. Because today you may think, oh, look at that doctor, blah, blah, blah. They kill themselves because they don't have resilience, blah, blah, blah. But let me tell you something. You can stand there and judge if you've never been there. If you've never been to a place where it's just going to take one decision for you to make that horrible, fatal choice. If you've never been there, then don't talk about it because you don't know. And I'm posting this on my main page because I have hundreds of doctors on this page. Look, let me tell you something. I don't care whether it's because you've lost your license or you've gone broke. It's better for you to go and work in Target and be alive with no license than to be dead. It's better for you to go and work in McDonald's, become an Uber driver. Even if you lose your license, there's no need for you to kill yourself. There is no need. Talk to us, and I'm going to tag other physicians who can help you find other ways out. Medicine is not the be all and end all of life. So it's nothing to kill yourself over, because let me tell you something, if you do kill yourself, nobody cares. The world is just going to treat you as an inconvenience. Talk about your unvaccinated patients, or the fact that there's a police line in front of their house and oh my God, it's so inconvenient. Nobody is going to care about your life. And if you're not a doctor and you're watching this, share it with other doctors. You have doctors. When you walk in to see that doctor and they're smiling at you, you don't know what they're going through. You don't know what management is telling them. You don't know who has threatened to cut their salary because they're spending too long of time seeing you. Yes, that happened to me. It happened to me. Yes. 30 grand pay drop. For spending too long with patients. Because that's pretty much what it was. So doctors, you have to care about your life. And make sure you are putting steps in place to heal yourself and not burn out. And number 2, find something else that takes you away from patient pills and potions. And honestly, this is what I do. This is what I do for my fellow doctors. I help them find things that take them away from patient pills and potions and actually build streams of income out of it. And I help them heal themselves. And we have to stand up for our colleagues. Because if we don't, nobody is. Somebody told me nobody cares about physician burnouts. They told me after all our contacts dried up and we're going and going and going. Nobody cares about physician burnout. And this person was talking to big media houses. So if media people are saying they don't care about physician burnout, then it does that shows you that the world really doesn't care. And I'm not saying this, let me tell you something, because some people are going to come on my page, I'm like, you're playing the victim, you doctors already make so much money, blah 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 blah. Let me tell you something, doctors, it's not a sin to make a living wage. It's not a sin to make a living wage, no. And the fact that you make a living wage does not exempt you from things like depression, things like burnout, anxiety, fear of losing your license, for example. Fear of bad reviews. Nowadays, when anyone can just go and write anything online about you, and then you're sitting there with a gun pointed to your temple. For what? For a world that's not going to care when you're actually gone? Fuck this. And if you're going to come on my page and post anything that, well, doctors are this, doctors are so, you guys have such a great life, what are you complaining about? Let me tell you something. If that's what you're fixing your fingers to post right now, just take your fingers off and put your hands in your pockets and walk away. Either that, block me, unfollow me, unfriend me. It won't be the first time has happened. I stand for doctors. And if you've ever come to a point where you thought I'm better off dead, please, I'm begging, you are not better off dead. Look, send me a DM, send me a message, and I will talk to you. I've unfortunately been too close to near suicide and, type incidents. And I can say that I've talked people off the ledge before, but that's not what this is about. Dear doctor, heal yourself and find something else so that medicine isn't your be-all and end-all, because it can't be. It can't be. And if you're a physician watching this, please share to other physicians. Let people know that there are people in their corner. I just wish, I'm sitting and I was like, I wish this doctor in Evergreen Park was my friend on Facebook or something. It's like, oh God, I am tired of my colleagues killing themselves. I'm just tired. Do I have a solution? Not exactly. I'm just trying to do my own best. I've written this book, I coach doctors. Even if you need coaching just to help you feel happier, Look, even if you are bankrupt, you've lost your license, whatever has happened to you, there's no reason for you to kill yourself. There's light at the other end of the tunnel. Many of us have been there, but we don't admit it because we're ashamed and we feel bad. And we don't want people to know our weaknesses. And that's why I've come out today and say, yes, I've felt like that before. And there was one thing that kept me from making that horrible choice. Because if you kill yourself, nobody's going to care. All they will care about is how many patients you didn't vaccinate. And to my knowledge, none of those unvaccinated patients are dead. They can go and get their vaccines. Look in the charts, see how many patients were unvaccinated and give them their vaccinations. This is a problem that's solvable. But nobody is talking about this. I think that for me was just the thing that just made me go, ah! Nobody is talking about the poor man that's dead. They're just talking about his unvaccinated patients. Good luck with that. And let me tell you something, doctor. Market forces are coming for us whether we like it or not. Before, we used to think we have job security. But let me tell you something that happened not too far from where I live. A whole batch of doctors, 15, boom, were just fired and they were replaced with another type of medical practitioner, which I'm not going into that. So let me tell you something. Doctor, you thought your job was secure. It isn't. You thought that, you had this prestigious life. You don't. Face it, face yourself, and do what you need to make yourself better. Like I said before, heal yourself. The system that broke you is not invested in your healing. It's just invested in you continuing to be a widget. So what are you going to do about yourself? Like I said, if you don't heal your own self internally, I don't care. Get a coach, get a therapist, go for a massage. Do what you need to do for yourself so that you're not walking down a bleeding, broken human being just on the edge of suicide. Number one. Number two, find something that takes you away from patients, pills, and potions. Let me tell you something, doctors. If we don't do these two things, the suicide epidemic is going to pick us all off one by one. And that's just the truth. Because nobody woke up one day and said, you know what? When I grow up, I'm going to be a doctor that kills themselves. Nobody plans to end their own life. Nobody. So what are you going to do? I'm so tired of this, man. Anyway, I'm off. I promised to help out a friend today with some work she needs done. So I'm going. But, share this to other doctors, for goodness sake. Please, if this is the thing that's going to stop another doctor from ending their own life, I think it's worth sharing. It's worth sending to other doctors or whatever. Or and that's the thing, if you're not a doctor and this applies to you, please take it. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm emotionally overwrought at this point, and I've got to go. See you later.